Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
As usual, I'm back with another story for all of you guys. For the past, I'd say maybe 2-3 weeks, every once in a while I'd pass by a local Dunkin' Donuts that is very close to the Sharjah Broadcasting Authority, and I'd go for my usual donut, and with the exception maybe out of the past 4 times or maybe 5 times, I only managed to get or find my favorite donut once. And the same thing happened last night. I passed by that place and I was like, hi, can I get a choco frosted? And they're like, yeah, sure. They go back in the back and they're like, actually, ma'am, we cannot find that donut anymore. We ran out. I mean, I understand. I did arrive literally 30 minutes before closing, so it's expected that most of the flavors, the popular flavors, you're not gonna find them by that time. However, it just made me kind of feel like, do I have some sort of bad luck streak happening? And I'm not sure about you guys. You guys have those days as well? Text me 4215 with Salat or do. But I feel like those days or those moments are exactly the ones that make me feel a lot more thankful, especially when I sit down and look back and think about the good things that have been happening to me. For example, I've been craving tangerines, or is it tangerines or mandarins? I mean, Mikhail and I have been speaking about the differences for quite a while now, and we do not know the difference. We're gonna figure it out one day. But I was craving it, and then just happens that on the same day, my mom had gone shopping and she got a massive crate of it. So I was happy about it. Same goes for a lot of small things, whether it's your friends texting you out of nowhere and sending you like a nice appreciative note and so much more. So this is the interesting part about having those bad moments and bad days, because at the same time, as much as they make you realize that, oh, I think I'm having a bad luck streak, at the same time, they make you realize that, actually, I'm a very lucky and happy person. So guys, count your blessings and count your happy moments, including this one, because we kick off the afternoon karak running from 4 p.m. all the way till 5 p.m., also known as the Magic Hour. I am running solo today and for the next couple of weeks. We wish Mikhail a lovely vacation, a well-deserved vacation, but don't worry guys, I'm keeping the fort down, kicking it off very strong with a celebration, a very good one. This one falls right into, I believe, a problem a lot of us have. I'd say it's 50-50. It's a problem and a blessing at the same time. We're going to be talking about The Sims 4, of course. I mean, there's Sims news and I don't speak about it. That makes no sense, because The Sims 4 Spa Day, there's going to be an update. Is it a much needed update though? We're going to be talking about that later on. There is a rumor about Phoebe Waller-Bridge exiting Amazon's Mr. and Mrs. Smith reboot show, and the reasoning behind it is kind of concerning, and it concerns Childish Gambino or none other than Donald Glover himself. Perhaps there are some issues between them. And finally, we're going to be talking about Venom, Let There Be Carnage, moving up 2 weeks. This is only some of the things we're going to be chatting about right here on the Afternoon Karak, so join in the conversation. Stay tuned and stay locked to Pulse 95.
What's the date?
What's the date?
What's the date?
What are we celebrating today?
As I was saying earlier in the hour, this can be simultaneously a good and a bad thing. It is a good thing for a lot of people, but a bad thing for hoarders like me. And I know you guys exist, and I know you guys will feel the same exact way I feel, because today just happens to be Buy a Book Day. So happy Buy a Book Day. Today, the 7th of September, happens to be this very interesting day. You know, we love to celebrate all kinds of great things on the Afternoon Karak, but I don't think this is a weird day to celebrate. I think it is a vital day for a lot of people out there, especially since, I mean, a couple of days ago during one of my suggestions, I was talking about how sometimes some people are not encouraged to do things, even though the things aren't necessarily harmful. For example, I was talking about getting that really crazy haircut, getting that really crazy hair color done, or something like that. But same goes for buying books. Sometimes if your friends know that you are a massive book hoarder, they're not going to encourage you for that. But because today's Buy a Book Day, I think you can use that as an excuse head down to the nearest Kinokuniya, nearest Borders, Magrutis, and just go crazy with those books. I feel like today is the day I needed to push me to make those. Like I said, is it a bad decision? Is it really that bad to hoard books? At least my shelf looks really nice, with all those books stacked everywhere. Yes, those books are not being read and haven't been read for quite a while. I'm just gonna say that I'm not gonna go deep into how many years it's been since I picked up one of those books. I also realized that lately I've been gravitating a lot more towards ebooks over physical books. Not because I don't like physical books. They're very beautiful to look at. And I feel like maybe there is a bit of guilt because a lot of people just boast about the smell of books and how cool books are. So it makes me feel like I should also buy physical books. When in reality, I find ebooks a lot more convenient to have on hand. It is just much easier to have a book on my book app on my iPhone. It's just so much easier. But also to add to that, it's also so much easier to buy ebooks. I mean, just instantly in a click, I have my book on my phone. But also, counter argument, you guys know that feeling of excitement when you're expecting some sort of shipment and you get that call from the courier or the delivery person saying, "Hi ma'am, I'm downstairs. Can you please open the door? I've got some shipment for you." I get that. I know how exciting it would be to open these boxes and unbox these books one after the other and putting them in the shelf. So, to each their own. Both work. Today is buy a book day, so go ahead and buy that book, especially those books that are on your to be read list. I have at least, I can say this with the utmost confidence. I have at least perhaps 15 to 20 books in my to be read list, and maybe since 2018 I've been putting those Goodreads it's making me laugh. The Goodreads reading challenge every single year. Without fail, in January, I reset it, and every single year, I have only read a book or two. But perhaps today is the day for you to go delve deep into that to be read list and get all those books that are on your wish list, because why not? What is wrong with hoarding books, right? Right. I mean, one day you are going to get that spark and you're going to feel like reading one day, whether it's on your phone, your tablet, your Kindle, wherever you read books. I mean, what if you're the type of person who reads books on your laptop or your computer? Again, whatever works for you, go ahead and do it. Buy a book day. Once again, happy Buy a Book Day. What are the books that you guys would like to buy or have been on your to be read list for a very long time, and think that today is the day for you to buy them? I think for me, there are a lot of well-known trilogies and anthologies within the world of fiction, mythology, etc. that have been on my list for a very long time. And every once in a while, I'd be like, yeah, this is the time I'm going to buy them. And I think today is going to be that day where I'm going to go up and just be like, yep, just tick them all off that list and get them read. I mean, Shadow and Bone, the Grishaverse have been on my list for a very long time, probably since the time it came out, and I only ended up reading it this year because of the TV show. It pushed me back into the world of reading. So tell me all about it. Text me 4215 Etisalat or do. Again, 4215 Etisalat or do, and tell me what books would you like to buy today or within the next couple of days. Perhaps you've got some priorities and the books are not in that priority list. Tell me all about it. We're going to be taking a short break, and coming up next, Sims fans. We're going to be talking a little bit about the new update right here on Pulse 95.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
last week, Mikhail and I have been bringing up, actually even I believe yesterday, we've been bringing up the topic of modders and how they basically uplift a lot of video games and increase their longevity. For example, we've got Skyrim, we've got GTA, we've got things like The Witcher, etc. And all of these games, basically, most likely, they had a 5-year cycle perhaps, and it was only the modders that kept it more and more exciting. I mean, if it's not the case, then we wouldn't have had literally Skyrim on every single console since the game came out. I mean, they're just an important part of the community, and if anything, they should be brought into it more by the officials and the creators and the studios of these games. And that is exactly what is happening with The Sims and Electronic Arts, because they're doing something interesting. First of all, is that they're updating one of their well-known game packs, and part of the update was that they took a design from a modder called Ebony, and they actually made it part of this update. The update comes part of the Spa Day game pack that came out a good while ago. It's not a new game pack at all. And basically what is happening is that she added an interesting mod that allows you to have basically nails. I mean, yes, every single Sims has like a normal amount of nails, like normal nails, but the ability to design your nails is a new concept to The Sims 4, and that is exactly what she added to this new update. And again, need to talk to you guys about the modders in the Sims community, because honestly, like the Sims game, the base is very, I would say it is inclusive. I'm not saying it isn't, but it tries to be as neutral of an experience for as many people as possible. They don't try to add a lot of things, but it is still quite enriching to an extent. But the modder community is where they take it up like to a level 1,000 because of how enriching and interesting they make the games. And it's so easy to add mods to your game. It doesn't require you to be an expert in modding for you to add something like that. And in fact, I feel like, I mean, this is an example actually. I feel like Electronic Arts encourage the modding community. So it is beautiful to see that they added this sort of content into the game. But let's go back to the actual update itself and the reason why it's interesting. Because again, it is an update to a game pack. It is called the Spa Day Refresh. And of course, it is coming up as free. Actually, the update is happening today. Some of the things that have been added include new skin tones and hairstyles for dark skin or black Sims. And interestingly enough, that is also from another modder, just adding to the diversity of the Sims, which is, in my opinion, still quite diverse, especially as more and more people add more comments and have been basically saying, hey, we need more things here and there. And now what's interesting about this refresh is that we are also going to be getting a new trait. Now, these usually come whenever we get a new game pack from Electronic Arts. And what is interesting is that's going to be a trait called High Maintenance. And I really, really like that one. I cannot wait to add that to my Sim. And also to make the child phase a lot more immersive, they're adding an ability for child Sims to do yoga and meditation. And I think this is very important when it comes to these sort of games. Again, the whole idea of updating a game pack or updating a previous patch, because again, it adds some refreshing new elements to the game, but also it's kind of a way seeing that, hey, we didn't do as good as we could have done back then. Here are some ideas. Here are ways to make the gaming experience a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. And this is coming from a game such as The Sims, which is already very fun, and the possibilities are endless. I mean, me as a Sims fan have been playing this game non-stop since The Sims 3, and there are people who have been playing this game since the first iteration of the franchise. So it is already a very fun game, very interesting game, and I really appreciate the Sim gurus or the Sim developers because they are very transparent about what they do. They're very active in the community. You see them on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, on various social media platforms, and they're very engaging with the community. And that is an important part of the gaming community that a lot of times I feel like a lot of studios forget about, because they think of it, especially the executives up top, and Michaela and I often talk about the executives up top, even when talking about the filming industry, because what they end up doing is that they think of it from a profitable point of view, and we understand that a game or a movie or a song or whatever, a TV show, needs to be profitable, but it only is going to be profitable if you listen to the actual fans and you communicate with them and you're very transparent with them. Because if you're not, who on earth are you catering to? So it's just basic things that every single developer, studio, executive should be aware of when creating something and throwing it into the public. We're going to be taking a short break. We've got these sports headlines, some songs in between. Coming up next, we do have a rumor about Amazon's Mr. and Mrs. Smith, because Phoebe Waller-Bridge may be leaving the TV show, very anticipated TV show for myself at least. And we're also going to be talking about Venom, Let There Be Carnage, moving up its release date by 2 weeks. Coming up next right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Speculation, gossip, or hoax. Rumor has it Phoebe Waller-Bridge is exiting Amazon's Mr. and Mrs. Smith series. Now, when this was announced, to say that I was excited is an understatement, because like I said, it stars Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is the amazing writer and actress behind none other than Fleabag and so many other well-known TV shows and movies, and Donald Glover. This would have been a very interesting duo to see, and it would have been really great to see them just with each other, because they're both great minds, but apparently their minds were too great and they could not, accept each other's ideas, because according to sources, they claim and they report to the Hollywood Reporter that basically, as usual, there were some creative differences. There's a difference in creative vision between Donald Glover and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, hence her eventually exiting the series for Amazon. And I'm very, very upset about it, because like I said, it would have been a very interesting duo, especially knowing that Donald Glover is a fantastic actor, and he is also a fantastic writer, producer, etc., as we have seen him in his latest TV show from FX Atlanta. And you probably know how deep and nuanced his ideas are. And if you've watched, I'm trying to remember the name of the movie that was, Guava Island, starring Rihanna as well alongside him. It was a very short, beautiful movie that had a strong message, used a lot of metaphors and imagery to bring that across. And I think that it would have been a great duo, but I understand that it would have been quite difficult to get their visions to converge and give us an interesting TV show. Now, the idea obviously came from Glover himself, and he brought it to his friend and Solo, a Star Wars story co-star, and he remains attached to the series as a co-creator, executive producer, and star. However, they are now looking for another leading lady to take in the shoes of Phoebe. And again, I think it would have been quite interesting, because Mr. and Mrs. Smith, now here's the thing. We don't really know much about the plot, but the idea of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, if you guys have watched the Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt movie, I think it's based on that, if I am not wrong. And if that is the case, first of all, when you think of that sort of action movie, you don't really think of Phoebe, nor do you think of Donald as the typical type of actors or actresses to fill in that role. So from the get-go, the idea of their casting was perfect. It was beautiful, out of the blue, basically breaking the norm and making it very interesting, refreshing the entire concept. And the idea that it was going to be a TV show rather than a movie is also another added
layer of interest, intrigue, and excitement for a lot of people. And it just also goes back to Amazon. What is happening in Amazon? Because I don't think a lot of their movies and TV shows have been quite successful. If I'm going to think about the most successful thing that came out of Amazon, it's going to be The Boys, which Mikhail and I are massive fans of. But again, when I think of anything that came out of Amazon Prime that was successful or fun or ongoing, to say the least, I cannot think of anything. And yes, some of you might be saying, what about that Cinderella musical starring Camila Cabello? Don't worry, guys. I am going to be talking about it tomorrow. I will be reviewing it. I'm going to be taking one for the team and watching it, despite the fact that the reviews are mediocre, to say the least. And also the fact that I've seen the trailer. After the moment I heard about the story, I know it's going to be too much. But yeah, we're going to be talking about it tomorrow. And even then, it was supposedly an interesting take on Cinderella and the whole musical genre, and yet it was a massive flop. But since a lot of people are hate watching it, there is a good chance that we're gonna get an unwanted sequel, because at least it's being profitable for Amazon Prime. But again, the only thing we have to look forward to from Amazon Prime Video is The Boys Season 3, and of course the Lord of the Rings series that it's going to be debuting eventually. And for them to just be losing actors, actresses, and projects left and right does not bode well for Amazon, especially since we know that Netflix is not stopping. The Netflix train is way ahead right now because of the things that they're generating left and right. Same goes for Disney Plus, as they pump out one TV show and one movie after the other, especially since they did announce that they're going to be pumping out at least 10 movies and TV shows for their Star Wars IP. And again, don't forget about the MCU and the Marvel TV shows and movies and their various live-action originals. And they're going one after the other. Same goes for HBO Max. And it's only time for Amazon Prime to start running and sprinting after them, especially in this massive streaming services war. We're going to be taking a short break, and coming up next, we're going to be talking about Venom, Let There Be Carnage, moving up not 1 week, but rather 2 weeks, and a very surprising move coming up next, right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
It seems that Disney and Marvel Studios' Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings have been so successful and so encouraging that Sony has moved up Venom, Let There Be Carnage by 2 weeks. And what is interesting is that if you have been keeping up with this sort of news for the past year and a half, you'd know that Sony and Warner Brothers in particular have been pushing their movies by months, not even by weeks. So this is the opposite of what they've been doing, because they pushed Dune by nearly a year. They have pushed Mobius, and there were rumors that Venom will also be pushed to 2022, but that was apparently discredited last week when we got the official poster of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and the release date said October 15th. And this is basically great news for a lot of superhero fans out there, because one, it just shows that people are still willing to go to the cinema when they can, of course, and amid precautionary measures, because the pandemic is still ongoing and there are a lot of things that are happening across the world that vary in terms of lockdowns and things that are open and things that are not allowed, etc. And we just happen to be lucky here in the UAE that the cinemas have been open for quite a while now and have been quite successful. And yeah, this just shows that a good amount of people would go to the cinema if they can. It also shows, perhaps much of the dismay of a lot of people, including myself, that the cinema model is still very successful. And the reason why I say this is because there were a lot of people, especially people within the movie and film industry, who are very very open and vocal about the idea of having streaming services stream those movies simultaneously with the theatrical release, and it was a massive issue. But Mikhail and I, or at least I, was very vocal about the opposite. I was like, yeah, we need more of those things, because again, I keep thinking about the various people who do not have access to cinemas at this time and would love to watch these movies when they first come out and not weeks later when they come out on various streaming services. And a lot of people were very upset about what Disney was doing with their Disney Access. I mean, the Disney Premier Access thing is kind of iffy. It is somewhat problematic, and it's like, that's a whole other discussion. And there was the whole conundrum with the HBO Max and Warner Brothers issue versus actors, actresses, and their agent, and even directors, because they were saying that they were not getting their due diligence from the actual simultaneous release when we get them both on a theatrical release as well as on a streaming service. So it was a whole debate going on, but now this kind of shows the opposite, maybe. Or at least it tells us that superhero movies are still well and alive and are going to be very profitable despite what is going on in the world. If we're talking about Labor Day records, and I mean, we're talking about the U.S. domestic box office, it did gain $90 million. And if we're talking about pandemic numbers, that is out of this world, because I don't think many movies manage to even break even or barely break even when it comes to the cost of the movie. Now let's jump back to Venom, Let There Be Carnage. This basically means that perhaps Sony is watching Marvel and they're like, yeah, I think we should move it up. This is going to help us and it's not going to cause any problems for us. But the question still remains, are we going to be getting a simultaneous release also on a streaming service? I know that Sony does not have its own streaming service, but at the same time, Sony does have an interesting deal with Netflix that allows Netflix to release a lot of their movies. So the question is, are they going to release the movie on Netflix on the same day, or are they going to wait a couple of weeks before it appears on Netflix? Or is it just not going to appear on Netflix for another year and a half or so? We don't really know what's happening, especially what's happening in those Sony executives' minds, because again, with the way they keep moving their movies, they really are thinking and focusing on profit, rightfully so, but also they should be thinking about the fans who have been waiting for a very, very long time for this movie, especially since perhaps it's going to help answer a lot of questions about the connection between the movie and within the MCU, especially since we've been also waiting for Morbius and what is happening there. We still have not gotten over that trailer. And again, I'm tired of us getting trailer after trailer. It is time for us to watch these long-awaited movies. Earlier in this hour, I was celebrating with you guys Buy a Book Day, and I was trying to push you guys and tell you that today is the day for you guys to go ahead and buy those books on your to be read series or to be read list. And I got a message from Aisha's biggest fan. I'm glad they are here to keep me company. They say, I would like to read A New Earth, and I had to look it up because I haven't heard of it. And apparently, if I'm correct, Aisha's biggest fan, give me a text back, tell me, am I right or wrong? I could be talking about the wrong book. But A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. Very interesting choice of book. Not my type, certainly. I'm not a big fan of self-help books, but if they are the books you need to go get them as soon as possible, because today, as I said, is Buy a Book Day. And with that, I wrap up because it is time for me to pass the baton over to Big Hat as he takes over from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m., keeping you company only here on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse